Lindsey Graham and that abortion bill, huh? They want to place a federal ban on abortion past 15 weeks. One thing you might want to know about Lindsey Graham, has a history of caving and making deals with the other side. He's a collaborator. History of collaboration, okay? And when you're collaborating with a side that wants total control, that's not a good thing. That's collaborator in a bad way. Anyway, he's the one that proposed this bill, I guess. I don't know, he had made a big speech about it. You know, a lot of people might look at this bill and think, you know, especially if you're pro-life, okay? You might look at this bill and think that, hey, this is a good thing, right? This is what I believe in if I'm pro-life, if you're pro-life. It has no chance of passing. Zero chance of passing. Zero chance. There is not a chance that this bill will pass any step of government. Zero chance of passing. So why propose it? What did I just tell you about Lindsey Graham? And if this isn't proof that there's no red and blue in Washington, then I don't know how much more proof you need. Okay? Think about this for a minute. Roe v. Wade gets overturned in the Supreme Court, right? 50 years later, because it was always going to be overturned. Okay. But now was the time we needed to do that. This year was the time that we needed to do that. And it was posed by everyone in the mainstream media as the government banning abortion. In effect, all it did was send it back to the states. But that's not how it was posed by the mainstream media. Okay? So we do that this year, before midterms, a couple months before midterms, actually. And it doesn't quite get the traction they wanted. I mean, it did rile people up, right? But it's kind of lost its effectiveness. But then again, that was just step one. Step two is to propose a federal abortion ban right before the elections. What month is it? September, middle of September, November, coming up in just over a month. Yeah. Of all the things we got going on, we've got all these failures of the current administration, which basically are the purposeful decisions of the government itself. I don't like using the term deep state. It makes people think that there's a conspiracy theory or that the deep state is separate from the government, which is not. It's just the government. It's just that's how big it is, right? So I just say government. But in order to distract people from the failures of this government, well, it worked the first time, didn't it? So let's do step two. So now, Lindsey Graham, you know, when you watch him, if you watch the video of him presenting this bill, he's over there making jokes, right? He's saying, oh, we got graphs, we're serious. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about abortion. None of them do. It's just ammo. This is what I said before. This is what I said before. They're using it to divide people and get them fighting and to make everybody hate the Republicans, to get as many voters to vote Democrat as they can. Let's say I'm wrong, okay? Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say they really mean this bill. They really mean it. Why now? And what are they going to gain from proposing it? Because it's not going to pass any part of the government. This bill's DOA, deader than DOA. So who stands to gain? Who stands to gain? Because the Republicans aren't going to gain anything from this. The bill's not going to pass a single step. The funny thing about it was, as soon as this announcement was made on this bill, there were already campaign advertisements coming out like a couple minutes later on it. It's almost like they knew, huh? Lindsey Graham, who knows what kind of shady deals he's done in the past, and I'm sure he's got quite a long list. He probably doesn't even keep track of them. But he sure has voted some really strange ways and said some really strange things. He's one of those, okay? There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those. Like I said, there's no red and blue in Washington. It's all about power and money. And he's never really demonstrated any interest in the abortion discussion or the abortion issue. So he's the one to propose this bill now? Really? Okay. Do we really think that's sincere? Who stands to gain? The other side, the Democrats, stand to gain everything from this. The Republicans will gain nothing. Well, at least we tried. You didn't try. To say that you tried something means that you did your best. Is the best to do this when the Republican side controls no part of the government whatsoever? The other side could not have wanted them to do this more. Perfect timing for them, okay? Because now they get to read about how the evil Republicans are trying to ban abortion federally, where we already said the Supreme Court gave it back to the states. So even if they thought they could pass this bill, even if they controlled one step of the process, it'd still get overturned in the Supreme Court. Good chance of that. Because we just returned Roe v. Wade. So ask yourself, why did they propose this bill? It's not the bill that matters, okay? It's not the bill that matters, it's the people proposing it that matter. It's the two sides working together, and everybody out here thinking that there's such thing as red and blue. Been saying this since the start. There is no red and blue in Washington, D.C. They try to tell you what to care for, depending on what party you align with. And then they play the game on the Hill. It is a lot more like Lindsey Graham, ladies and gentlemen. Most of them are like him. Alright? They may appear that they vote for your side, or they may appear that they submit the bills you want them to submit. They could have submitted this bill at any point in the history of our government. This bill, now, evenly spaced out from Roe v. Wade, huh? Proposed by Lindsey Graham. Not even an advocate for the abortion issue. Yeah, and you can call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to think that politicians are evil. They are corrupt. This should not be news to anyone. What's the first thing you think of when you think of a politician? Corrupt liar. They just keep showing you who they are. It's time to start believing them.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has introduced a new bill today pushing for a national abortion ban after 15 weeks of pregnancy.
A lot of Republicans on Capitol Hill kind of frustrated that he is introducing it at this point. But what's significant here is that this would be a federal restriction, and this really flies in the face of what Republicans have been arguing in light of the Supreme Court ruling that this should now be a decision that is up to the states.
What Republicans, those in competitive races, would want to run on this? Are there some subset of Republicans in competitive House districts, competitive Senate races, that would want this on their campaign list of things to do?
Essentially not really, Scott, and that raises the question of why Graham is doing this, especially on a day where Republicans thought that they could really focus on their criticisms of the Biden administration with the new number showing inflation at about 8%.